person. Okay, so that's about there. So across here. Okay, and we're going to mark that in number 13. Okay, so that is all of the body measurements now complete. Okay, you've got all of your body measurements, and the next part is of course our garment measurements. Now that's where this sheet comes into play. So I am going to now show you how to do the garment measurements. Now first of all, what we need to do is we need to draw our waistcoat. So that's the second part, what I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so here we are with our garment measurement sheet, and we're also got here places for our waistcoat design. Now of course you can put the name and the date on here. We've got here a place for our fabric samples. Now with me, I've already bought my fabric, so what I can do is just stick the fabric sample on there, and then we can write down the description for our fabric sample. So in my case it would be a wool suiting. Okay, so we put that in there. Now the centre back length we will do in a moment, and the front length we're also going to do in a moment as well. Now the buttons on the front of the waistcoat is entirely up to you. Now you're looking at about between 4 and 6 buttons on a waistcoat, so you can put down here how many buttons you want to go in there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have on mine, say 4 buttons. And of course in here you've got notes, so you can note down various bits and pieces, what sort of pockets that you might have and all that sort of thing. But first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to just design our waistcoat. So the main block of the waistcoat is already drawn. Okay, we can just draw the waistcoat. Now of course with a waistcoat it comes down like this. Now you can have any design that you like, okay, it's entirely up to you what you have. Okay, and of course ours has got a lapel on there. Okay, now the lapel, you can have a shawl collar, which of course is a complete straight lapel, or we can have a notched collar, which of course goes like this, with a notch design. Okay, like that. Okay, so that is our waistcoat design on there with the lapel on here, and of course we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons. I'm going to have some pockets there, okay, and of course along here we have a dart. Okay, and of course this is for fitting the dart. Now on here, this is going to be the back, so we can just quickly now draw the back of our waistcoat in. Now, again, we've got a couple of darts which go up like that. And we have our decorative belt on here, okay, which goes like this. Okay, so that's the little clasp in there. Okay, and of course with the waistcoat you're going to have a centre back seam. So when you've done that and you designed your waistcoat, what we need to do now is get the measurements for our centre back length and our front length. Okay, and we can mark those on here. So our centre back would be there, and our front length would be from this point here down the waistcoat to the bottom part of the V at here. Okay, so we're going from the shoulder point all the way along to the bottom point of our V there, and you're measuring that on the waistcoat. Now I've got a waistcoat already made up on the mannequin, and I'm going to show you exactly where those measurement points are. Okay, so here we are with the mannequin. It's got the waistcoat on. This for the final 2 measurements. Now the first measurement what we need is the front garment length. Okay, so that was the one on our design which runs along here, okay? So that's the measurement that we're going to be putting in right now. Now what you're doing is you're measuring from the shoulder point at the neck, going over the top of the largest part of the bust, okay, or the chest, right along to the point here, okay, because waistcoats have a point at the bottom, so that's where we're going to, okay. So that's that measurement. Note that in your measurement sheet for the garment. And the final measurement, which of course is a garment measurement as well, is the back. So we're going from the back of the neck here at the top all the way down to the length that you want your waistcoat to be. Of course, it's the same with the front, down to the points. So there is no right or wrong way. This is down to your discretion of the design and the length that you want your waistcoat to be. Okay, so we're going from the neck to the bottom length, or the total bottom hem of the waistcoat. And we're going to mark that in on our garment measurement sheet. Now, as you can see, I filled in a few more things. I put my two fabrics on here. So I've got my main fabric and I've got my lining. I've put down what the lining is, and I've also put a few notes like pockets. It's got a back lining, it's got 4 front buttons, and it's also got a decorative belt with a clasp. Okay, so I've marked all that in there. And now I'm ready, and I've got my information that I need for my waistcoat. Now this is the point now, because you've got all your measurements for you or whoever you're making the waistcoat for. You've got all of those in place, so now you can go out and buy the fabric that you need and also the pattern. Now get the pattern that you like the design of. Okay, so if you like the design, buy that pattern and buy it the closest to your measurements. Okay, now all of the measurements are marked on the pattern. Okay, so you'll see the chest and the waist, and all of those measurements are marked on the pattern. You can ask for help in the shop if you're not too sure, but you are armed now with the measurements on your measurement sheets. So you can go out, get your pattern, get your fabric. You need lining and you need interfacing. Now for me, I'm just standard build, and I got 1.5 meters of fabric. I bought 1 meter of lining. Now these are all 60 inches wide. Okay, now you can get fabrics which is suitings which are 60 wide, or if you get a silk, it's usually a 45 wide. So obviously if it's lesser width, the 45, you're going to need a longer amount, so you're going to need more. Okay, so you know, always add on the amount that you're going to need corresponding to the width of your fabric. So I got 1.5 meters of my actual fabric, 1 meter of lining, and also I got about 1.5 meters of interfacing. Now with interfacing, buy more, because you can always use it for other things as well. Because with the interfacing, we're going to be using it for the facings, and we're going to be using it for the pockets, okay, and also the entire front panels as well. You can buy the buttons, which will then correspond to your fabric, so you can get those, and of course don't forget your thread. Buy the same colour thread obviously as your waistcoat, and get your fabric to match the lining, or the lining to match the fabric, whichever way. Okay, so the whole thing looks really nice, because as you can see on here, we've got a grey waistcoat with a grey lining. Okay, and of course you need your clasp. Okay, now the small clasp at the back is just a standard waistcoat clasp. Okay, now they should be available in a haberdashery shop. If you can't find one, a good tip is to go to a shop where they sell second-hand clothes. Buy a really cheap second-hand waistcoat, because all you need is the clasp. Okay, so that's a little small tip that I can give you. You know, if you can't find the clasp in the haberdashery shop, go to a second-hand shop and buy a garment with the clasp on. Okay, so basically that's it. That is the measuring now complete, and we're now ready to go on to the next video for the next stage of your waistcoat.